Okay, great. Welcome everyone to the Channel Partners GTM Partner Accelerator presentation. Today we have 45 minutes to look at how our methodology is being leveraged in combination with GTMvision.com to create as quickly as possible short list of qualified partners that meet your specific criteria for your new partner recruitment needs. Now we know that many people that are managing a channel on a global basis today are finding themselves increasingly having a second role. The first role is they have to manage the existing traditional channel, and at the same time we're seeing channel managers and channel leaders having requirements around recruiting new partner types. And those could be MSPs, partner types, or they could be ISVs, or even born in the cloud. And when we say born in the cloud, we're referring to partners who have started their company from day one with a subscription model, commercial business model, where they're able to make money and differentiate themselves by providing a OpEx model versus a capital expenditure model for IT investments. So today the showcase discussion will be around Zendesk. We just completed a project recently for Zendesk in Australia, led by Steve Wilkins, who is on the call today, and he's going to talk about that project and how we did it, going from a query definition for a new specific born-in-the-cloud partner for Melbourne and Sydney, and then 12 days later being in front of those partner executives and actually closing out agreements with them. So we've been able to identify new partners, interview them, score them, and contract them in 12 days. So we're going to show that process today. Now, just very quickly, we'll just start by giving an overview of Channel Partners and who we are. We are a Singapore-based channel software company. We target the 50 largest IT vendors in the world for the past 14 years, and we do an array of things for them, everywhere from training of their channel managers all the way to custom channel strategy projects, partner recruitment projects, speaking at partner conferences, etc. We are the developer of GTM Vision. This is a platform that we'll be referring to today. We will not be doing a demo of it. We're just going to show you the process and how we leverage that database inside GTM Vision. We have a big business around what we call Partner Revolution. Our company does a tremendous amount of work with the world's leading vendors to help their existing partners transform their business to be relevant in tomorrow's IT world. And then there, as you can see at the bottom, we have a partner database that's second to none in the world. We have more than 300,000 partners of all types on a global basis, and we have an interface that gives you the ability to quickly identify the right partners based on 5 inputs, which we'll show you later. Today we're talking about Partner Accelerator. So this is a new partner recruitment process and app where users simply input 5 critical success factors for the specific partner that they're looking for. And GTM Vision can go out to this database using our analytics and algorithms that we've written to identify partners that have the highest percentage match rate to the partners that you're trying to identify, and creates a short list usually from 1 to whatever, depending on the query. Normally, as you'll see later in the presentation today, we provide lists of 20. That's about all anyone can handle, is 20 new partner profiles and names at one time. So we're going to take you through the entire process today and give you a case study of how we've recently completed this for Zendesk, as I mentioned earlier in the call. So here's some of the companies we work with over the past 15 years, all types of projects, all types of challenges related to their channel. Today I will be your presenter. I'm the founder and CEO of Channel Partners. I've been in Asia for 23 years now. A long part of that time as the vendor, setting up and running a channel for PTC, a CAD/CAM US-based software company. And then in 1996, I became the partner, and I set up and ran worldwide. We also have today Steve Wilkins. Steve, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Greg. Yes, Greg and I have worked together for a long time on delivering some of these capabilities. My background is working for some years in IBM as the VP for Asia Pacific and the global growth markets on marketing roles and channel leadership roles. In recent years, through our company here in Australia, Data Driven Design, we've been working with Greg on delivering both GTM Vision and, as we'll explain later on, working with his recruitment capability. Thanks, Greg.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. Okay, so Partner Accelerator. The program today is around this process to give you an understanding of how we actually do this. As we mentioned, Zendesk will be our case study today. There's also other case studies that we can share related to IBM and other companies that have used GTM Vision and our partner network in order to identify the right partners in the fastest period of time. The overall process, everyone, is of partner recruitment. I just want to put in context, it's not a single thing that someone does. Partner recruitment is a part of a larger methodology, and we call that the GTM Vision methodology. And many times people think that partner recruitment is the first thing you do, and it's actually the last thing you do. Partner recruitment starts by defining the target segments that you want to leverage your channel with and having an understanding of those high potential market segments, and then looking at your existing capacity, mapping it to your high potential segments that you've identified to uncover gaps in your coverage. Once the gaps are uncovered, that's where the partner recruitment comes in. So I just wanted to call that out early here in the process, because many times we'll see vendors go straight to partner recruitment, but they also sometimes recruit partners that are covering the same space that their existing partners are, and it creates channel conflict, and that's not good. You've essentially hurt yourself if you do that. So here's the overall methodology. Starts with number one, a definition of the high potential market segments. Secondly, defining the capacity required that you will need in order to achieve the goals that you've set. The enablement of those partners, that's existing and new. How much money they make is it a key factor today in vendor-partner relationships. We used to lead with the strength of our brand. Today we have to lead with the strength of our ROI, and that's where your competition as a vendor lies against other vendors in terms of getting partner mind share and investment, is being able to articulate how they can make money with you and partner in a very sensible, fair, and profitable way. The last step is around planning, and then the final step, of course, as you can see, that encompasses all this today, is the ability to recruit new partners. So when we look at new partner recruitment, I just want to step back and make sure that you can do the smart things first. The smart things that you need to do prior to recruiting a partner is first calculate the capacity that you need. It's very important to establish the segments that you want to target, and look at what is needed, and then compare that with what you have in order to just double check before you go off and go down a path of trying to recruit new partners. New partner recruitment can be very time consuming and can be very expensive. So you need to be careful with how you jump into this and be real sensible and scientific in the way you do it. And that's what we're going to show you today is our process for doing that. So what you're looking at is a capacity calculator. This is a simple tool that we have where we'll calculate at the very bottom. You can see number of sales reps needed. That's the number of partner sales reps required for this simple model in order to provide coverage for a vendor. So we'll typically start here, and then we assess our existing partners. And this is something all of us can do today before recruiting a new partner, is first look at what you currently have. Many vendors have more than 10 years of history with their existing stable of partners. Some of those partners are focused on investing. Many of them have gone in other directions. So we use Michael Porter's competitive advantage to score them. And you can see this is a very simple 5-step process of scoring them on a scale of 1 to 5 in these 5 areas. This is what your scorecard would look like. And you can see here, this is an actual scorecard from Checkpoint in the United States. And you can see all of the partners have been rated in this case in 6 dimensions. We included management commitment as a criteria for these partners, which gave an interesting insight, as you can see. And then there are 6 categories. Maximum score is 5. Your lowest possible score on any cell is a 1. And we ordered them from highest to lowest. So you can see Zenzar is 25 in yellow, and then the numbers are descending. You'll notice that the top half is in a darker blue. That means that anyone who scored 18 or greater, we consider to be qualified and enabled to represent and be an extension of our company in the field. Anyone that's lower, and you can see starting with Presido Corporation, they had a score of 16.5. Those 2, 4, 6 partners we consider not enabled. They need to go through the enablement process again and increase their skills in one of those 6 areas. The other thing that we did, which is very interesting, is you can see that we used a legend on the lower left-hand corner where we have high-scoring partners, meaning they're highly enabled according to our analysis, yet their overall margin contribution is low. You can see at the bottom, these partners, there must be 12 to 15 of them, they did a total of 170 million US dollars on the East Coast of the United States. And you can see, we take for Zenzar, for example, their $7 million of revenue in 2015 divided by 170 million, and you can see that they have a low contribution, which is perplexing. They've got the highest score, they've got an extremely high score, but their contribution is low. Now, opposite of that, you can see in kind of a very light pink or red, is a low score, yet their contribution is very high. And in these particular cases, like mission critical and E+, the vendor must ask themselves, look, if they have a very high contribution, how high could that contribution be if we enabled them better? So we think this is the first point of partner recruitment, is rationalizing what you have, because it's always faster to increase your capacity by working with your existing partners than it is to go out and recruit new. If you do need new partners, and we recognize vendors do, normally in the form of born in the cloud, that's just a completely different business model for a partner, then you may or may not want to look at your existing partners and test their ability to which they can adapt their business and become a subscription model type partner for you. So this is a good first step. All vendors need to do this, to relook at what they currently have and how everyone's contributing and how they can improve what they currently have. So now, recruiting new partners, assuming that we've got the information we want. Recruiting new partners, as it is a very critical skill these days, we think it requires a scientific method. Today, it's a very difficult thing to do. You have to go to some of the big research companies and buy data, or try to leverage your personal network and just hope that you can triangulate on a partner who has a good reputation, maybe with yourself or a friend, and seems to have the right solution skills. And then you just, we'll talk to those partners and ask a lot of questions and actually just hope that they end up being the right one versus using a scientific process. So GTMvision gives you the ability to put that query in, and that query goes off to a database and creates a short list of partners that fit that criteria. Once that's been done, we need to qualify, interview, and score those partners. And later in the presentation today, we're going to show you how we do that and how we've done it recently. And then finally, people cannot forget the fact that recruiting the partner is just one step of increasing, the overall capacity that you have. Once you recruit a partner, it's very important that you give them a plan. So in GTMvision, you also have the ability to quickly create a plan for that new partner that can be tracked and measured, so that all your effort that goes into recruiting and finding the right partners is not lost on lack of execution or lack of a plan. When thinking about new partners, everyone, we use this model called strategic position. This is a very effective tool at thinking about whether or not a partner actually is going to fulfill your need. If you have identified up front the high potential market segments that you want to target, you should be able to see where you have coverage and don't have coverage. For where you don't have coverage, this strategic position of a partner is important to see if they map to the segment that you've identified as being undercovered. This model starts first with market focus. Partners sell to the same clients 88% of the time. They cannot change that. So it's absolutely critical that you understand the market focus of a partner and ask them who are their clients, because partners will sell to the same accounts over and over. The second question is value proposition. What value do they bring? And in the GTMvision 5-step model, you'll see one of our questions is around solution skills. So the value that a partner brings to the market that they serve is normally the solution skills, and on the left, core competencies that that partner has been building over time. Now here's the 5-step process that we go through on GTMvision to create these short lists. The first step is the geography. Obviously, if you can imagine, we're starting very high and we're going to a very low place with our definition. So at a very high level, if you can imagine being in an airplane at 10,000 meters, looking down saying, okay, what portion of the world am I targeting? So we'll start with geography, and that can be a city or country or any other description. Once we have identified the specific geography, and normally when we do geography, everyone, we'll call out a city, like Sydney, for example, in the Zendesk example. In our query, we use the word Sydney for Sydney and Melbourne when we were looking for Melbourne. We did not use New South Wales. We did not use Victoria. We used the specific city name. Secondly, solution skills. What skills would the partner need to have to serve the segment that you're looking for coverage? And that can come in all different types of definitions, right? So here in my example, you can see sometimes it's hardware infrastructure, could be software solution skills, maybe networking skills. For Born in the Cloud, for example, with Zendesk, it was service desk and ticketing, which were the skills that we were looking for. Once we've defined the specific solution skills, then we go segment served. In our database, we track the vertical market segments that partners sell to. So we can tell you exactly what their connection to the market is. Now that's great, but it's even more important that you build, prior to doing a partner search, you build a simple territory coverage map to understand where you have coverage and where you don't have coverage. Where, as I mentioned before, and where you don't have coverage would be the segment that you would input here. So if you did not have coverage in Sydney in the retail vertical, you would want to do a search here as a part of your query, and the segment would be retail. Okay. Also, with security, for example, a lot of times it's solution areas. It could be data centers or mobility. So every vendor kind of has a different description of what a segment is. So this is an important criteria because we track these partners to specific segments based on our research. We also track, in the fourth step, what other vendor relationships they might have. So, for example, in the Zendesk case, they were looking for partners who had relationships with certain other vendors. And that was an indicator that they would have not only the connection to the market that they're looking for, but also the solution skills. And then the final step, of course, is size. Size can mean many things: number of people, office locations, revenue, etc. So the combination of all of these factors creates a short list of partners. Those short list of partners are ranked from high to low, from the highest percentage match rate down to the lowest percentage match rate. And once that is completed, you will need to get on the phone to then phone qualify these partners and call the managing directors, tell them that you've identified them as a part of a search, and qualify their interest for whether or not they want to be a potential partner for you. This is a very cost-effective and cheap way to create a shorter short list of what we've provided. Now, this is a service that we provide in different parts of the world, but I just wanted to tell you the overall process so that if you want to do it and you just need the data from us, we can provide you the data, but the second step is the phone qualifying. Now, the third step, once you've phone qualified, is then to establish face-to-face interviews with these partners and make sure that the data that you have is correct, qualify their interest that they provided on the phone, and essentially have a business discussion between yourself and that partner to ensure that they're serving the segments where you're undercovered, they have the skills that are required, and they also have the size that you need in order to deliver the number that you want to achieve in that particular geography. So that's the overall partner acceleration recruitment process. For us, we can do all of those things because we're focused on this and this is our business. We can do this in 6 days. For vendors like yourself, it may take longer because you have other things to do. Now, the entire process that Steve's going to describe in just a few minutes was 12 days, and it's everything that I just described. It culminated into a face-to-face interview where we created a scorecard for our clients, and we actually score these partners on a consistent basis against each other so that the vendor can make the ultimate decision about who is best qualified to be their partner in that geography. Now, the slide you're looking at now is the third step I mentioned before in terms of partner recruitment, and that is once you've recruited the right partner, and we can help you get to the right partner quickly, immediately, within 1 week. But that's not the critical success factor. The critical success factor is then having a plan to show this partner the segments that you have defined as being undercovered and list the accounts that you want to jointly target so that you can achieve the ultimate goal with this new partner, which is to close your first deal. New partners have to close the first deal in less than 4 months or they'll begin to lose interest in your partnership. So having a plan that takes them directly to that first deal allows them to implement and test all the capabilities required to do so successfully is essentially the destination that you're trying to get to. Once they've got their first client in place and learned everything, then they can begin to scale their sales activity for you. And a plan is a critical piece to that. Many times we see vendors recruit new partners and be real excited and come back into the office and brag about the fact that they've gotten this new big partner, but then no revenue ever comes from that. And the reason is because there's no simple plan in place. They had a good conversation, shook hands, and agreed to work together, but there was no specific plan that both parties were tracking and measuring. Key elements of a plan. In GTM Vision, you can create a very effective plan in no time at all. And the 3 components of that is the focus, and that is the segment, the solution skills, the product that you want them to sell, and the accounts that you want them to sell. Secondly, the resources that both parties will bring to bear in order to achieve those goals. And then finally, the regular reviews of those plans to ensure that things are happening at the rate and pace at which everyone would like. So I'll just pause there. If anyone has a question, you can go to chat and type your question into the chat, and I can respond to you. We've got a lot of people on the call, so I don't want to put everyone on unmute because it could get quite noisy. Steve, I'll just wait to see if there's any questions, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. Okay, doesn't look like we have any questions. Steve, over to you if you'd like to give some more details about the Zendesk project.
Thank you, Greg. I will. Look, for folks on the webinar, we do appreciate your questions, so if you have one, please type it in. Before getting into the Zendesk case study, I just wanted to reinforce my experience working, as I said in the introduction, with a global vendor. You know, we kind of had 4 challenges, and we found that we're in a constant state of recruitment. This kind of never goes away. And I know many of you on the call will experience this. Even if you have a stable and productive team of partners, there is always some level of refreshing that goes on and some level of performance management. But right now, with the kind of transformations that we're seeing in the industry, the need for particularly finding born-on-the-cloud partners is immense. And really, I've seen challenges which were reflected in our work with Zendesk around 4 areas. The first is just having the time. It is an incredibly time-consuming exercise to find, assess, and then sign new partners. Secondly, just the knowledge of the right candidates. All too often we found people going with business partners who approached us as vendors, or reaching out to individual people's own contacts. We weren't necessarily starting with an inventory of who is out there successfully implementing solutions. So the knowledge of the candidates becomes critical, and being able to assess their business. And then thirdly, the contact. Often it is extremely helpful to use a third party to make the first contact, to open up that dialogue around the value proposition. And the fourth is what Greg just spoke about. All too often recruiting new partners, but not really sealing the deal with a clear and transparent business plan that understands what the partner walks away with when the business is generated particularly. In the Zendesk example, so first of all, this client, you may know them. Zendesk is a $200 million US listed company. The $200 million was their 2015 revenue. They deliver a customer service platform across three major areas around customer support, customer self-service, and customer engagement. And they are growing. Last year, 2015, revenue growth was just on 64%. So immense growth, as we're seeing in so many of these born on the cloud clients. And they had exactly those needs that I just outlined. They needed to move quickly, so they needed any resource they could engage with to get them to the point of having new partners very quickly. They came to us with some knowledge of partners in the markets, and the two markets that we were recruiting for were Sydney and Melbourne, where they have their own direct sales team, but they wanted to recruit partners into particular segments in that space. And then they needed help in terms of making that initial contact in particular as well. Because we were able to define the profile of what they needed across those 5 dimensions that Greg talked about very quickly, so they had experienced channel manager that we're dealing with, they knew quite well what they were looking for. We're able to build that query into our database around those 5 elements of the geography, the solution, the market segments, the vertical alignment, and the size of partner that they're looking for very quickly. And virtually by the end of day 1 from being briefed, we're able to produce a long list. The rest of the time was very quickly to move through those, working against a scorecard on those criteria to build a short list. And during those first few days, we were able to get agreement on who we should reach out to and start making appointments to. Zendesk engaged us to reach out and make that initial contact. And as any of you that have been involved in this sort of work, that's a combination of kind of beginning to vet the prospect as well as pitch the business proposition. You won't get a face-to-face meeting unless you actually can articulate the value proposition. But that initial dialogue is extremely helpful in being able to begin the vetting process and to finalize the prioritization that you had in your mind. Because our database was able to throw up quite a lot of information about these prospects, we're able to apply that against the profile that Zendesk gave us. And by the beginning of the second week, we had our client sitting face-to-face against those prospects. So that's an extremely quick execution. That's certainly the fastest in my experience before we're able to use this capability. Interestingly, the partners that came up highest on our assessment after those face-to-face interviews weren't necessarily the contacts that the client brought to us thinking that they may well be good candidates. So very successful execution, able to close the requirements in extremely short time, but with the knowledge that we were looking at all of the key candidates in those marketplaces. So Greg, I think that pretty much sums it up. I know you were involved as well. You may have some extra thoughts on the Zendesk experience, but certainly we had a very happy client there.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything to add at all. I thought you described it very well. And I think that the insights that you provided, Steve, are very good in terms of how you can shortcut this process. New partner recruitment is not easy, everyone. It can be very time consuming if you don't do it right. And the biggest risk that you run is that if you go through this entire process without a scientific way or a proven methodology, you run the risk of spending all this time to recruit the wrong partner. And many cases we find that partner recruitment can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And if after 3 to 6 months you have no methodology and you recruit the wrong partner, there's a huge opportunity cost. The time associated with what you were doing when you could have been doing other things. And then secondly, you're stuck with a partner who just is not going to fulfill your needs or deliver any meaningful activity. So thank you for that, Steve. In review, I've got just a couple of minutes now, everyone. So I'll just review what we're talking about today. Today is GTM Vision Partner Accelerator. And with 5 simple inputs, you can create a very quick short list of partners that can meet your criteria that you can then take into different stages of qualification in order to do with those partners what you want to do. Now, there's 3 ways that we do this. If you would like to engage channel partners in either giving you the data or executing the partner searches and interviews for you, we have 3 packages for how we do that. The first package is called the Profiler package, and this is a investment where you work with us to provide your query in those 5 different areas, and we will create a list of 20 qualified partners for you. This also includes, as you can see, 2 Channel as a Service user licenses, which gives you the ability not only to do the search, but also to create the plan that you can track and measure through the execution of it. Secondly, the Qualifier package. Here we take those 20 profiled qualified partners and we will get on the phone and do interviews with them and qualify them for you using a red light, yellow light, green light system so that you know from the 20 who are qualified which ones have the timing to engage with you in a conversation or potentially become a partner. Many times you can find qualified partners as we do every day, but the timing is wrong. They may have just won a big tender or they're involved in something else and they're not ready to take on a new vendor relationship. So that's why we take our list of 20 and we organize it in 3 dimensions. And then finally, a comprehensive program, which Steve just described for Zendesk, where we create the short list, we do the phone qualifying and put those into 3 categories, red light, yellow light, green light, and then the final step where we build a scorecard that we will use with you, and we meet these partners face-to-face. We interview them, we score them, and then make our recommendations for which ones we feel would fit your criteria best and do the job best, and that's where we turn the project over to you. You would then contract these partners and sign an agreement with them and put them into your enablement process. I believe this is the last slide. This is called the, some of the packages that you can potentially look at. Channel as a Service, which I just mentioned. We provide, this is our core product called Channel as a Service, where we provide GTM Vision licenses to our clients. These GTM Vision licenses are the portal from GTMvision.com, where you go in and it's a channel strategy platform where you can design your channel strategy. It automatically exports partner business plans for the partners that you're targeting across the territory, and also gives you the ability to use this powerful query function in order to identify the right partners and recruit them. Secondly, many people like personalized implementations where they want us to take their data, load it into GTM Vision, and then give them two-hour webinars where we get them trained on the methodology as well as how to use the tool effectively and run reports, etc. We also have public workshops. That's similar to what we're doing today, where we do training for Channel as a Service on this Citrix GoToWebinar platform. And that is also another option where you can see the technology, use the technology while we're doing training and actually build your strategy. And then finally, option number 4, we still have clients that ask us to come in and run face-to-face instructor-led training for their team on the back end of a maybe regional meeting or partner conference or something like that. So those are the 2 different ways that you can engage. The first, I'll just go backwards, is the Partner Accelerator package, where we can create the shortlist for you based on your requirements and help you with the recruitment, or just pass that over to you. And then secondly is the channel as a service, as you can see there under bullet number 1. So with that, I'll open the floor to see if anyone has any questions. We're about 2 minutes away, I believe, from concluding today's webinar. So if there's any questions or feedback, please feel free to do so now. I'm going to take everyone off of mute. So you should have the ability to ask questions if you like. Okay, Steve, any closing comments or things you would like to say, or should we go ahead and close out the webinar now? Okay, everyone. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. You can see here my email address, our website, LinkedIn, phone number. You also have our email addresses from the invitations that were sent out. Feel free to contact us. Good luck, and thank you for joining today. Bye-bye.